Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and it is time for a special themed Halloween video out here in the workshop. Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. You know, I dress up as a pirate and go out to a lot of community events and festivals and all of that. But one of my favorite horror franchises is Friday the 13th. I'm sure you're kind of aware of that. This mask hangs by the Sticker Swap sticker wall year round. I actually had the honor and privilege to meet Kane Hodder, the man that's played Jason Voorhees the most, but it is a franchise I really love, and it's one that I really love the story to. But that's the subject of today's video. We're going to be making a Friday the 13th logo plaque. It's got the Friday the 13th words here, and then the iconic Jason Voorhees hockey mask here. I'm stack cutting it out of 1/4-inch plywood, and I've actually made this project before, which is why I've just taped my old poster board stencil to it. But for some reason it was just this kind of poster board that got kind of ragged on the edges. So what I've got is another piece, if you can see that orange, another thinner piece of poster board to get another stencil out of it, and hopefully it won't be as ragged when the scroll saw blade cuts through the stacked layers. But what we're going to do is head over to the drill press, drill our pilot holes, and get started. Over here on the drill press, we're using a small drill bit to drill all the pilot holes for internal cutting, and I did use a larger drill bit off camera to drill all the small round holes in the hockey mask for Jason, and then I went back and switched to this small drill bit. Now we're going to head over to the scroll saw and do all of our internal cutting. And the letters in Friday, the R, the D, and the A will have floaters, which means we'll cut out the little internal part and then sand it, and then it will eventually be glued back into the project. So that's something you have to grab and keep from falling down from your scroll saw, and just make sure you keep up with them through the course of the project. I'm using number 5 ultra reverse shark tooth scroll saw blades, and they are cutting through these 2 pieces of 1/4-inch plywood like butter. I'm really happy about that. It was my first time using ultra reverse scroll saw blades, and I would highly recommend them. If you guys like what you're seeing, I'd encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also follow me online over at my Instagram page at Artisan Pirate. I try to post there at least twice daily. As for the pattern itself, I got the hockey mask design from a pumpkin carving type book for horror icons, and the Friday the 13th logo is just the Friday the 13th movie logo, and I just kind of modified them and fixed them to where they could be used together, and enlarged them and adapted them for use over on the scroll saw. Just moving along here, we just have the 13 to cut out. And then all the internal cutting will be done. And then, as always, when I stack cut, I have a extra pilot hole to thread the blade through to keep the wood somewhat stable while doing the final cut, which you'll see me put the blade through here in a minute. There you go. It just keeps the wood from shaking around a lot, like if you would go in from the outside, and I just prefer having that extra pilot hole to thread the blade through. Finishing up here on all the scroll work. Now we're going to head over to the workbench and take everything apart. There's one layer, a nice stencil finally, and the other layer. And we're only going to finish one of these in this video. I'll come back and finish the other one. But here with the palm sander with a high grit sandpaper, we're going to sand the front and back real good, and then I'll always do more detail sanding off of camera, and sanding the floaters there by hand. And we're going to head over to the work table and start staining everything with a dark color stain. and I always try to get the internal cuts stained first to make sure I've got everything well covered, and then I come back and stain the actual board itself. And I'm using that pan there to catch the excess, and then I just pour it back into my can. Staining the floaters there, and I give it a 30 count inside my head before I wipe off the excess stain, and I use small circular motions whenever possible. It really helps blend the stain in with the wood. And then I left it in front of a fan to dry. Then after about an hour and a half of drying, I took this 1/2 inch piece of plywood that is painted black on one side and used Gorilla wood glue on the piece. And I've just got it in a condiment bottle there. I'm going to use these little dollar spring clamps to hold everything together. And you can never have enough clamps on a project. And I'm going to use these little strips to add pressure throughout the middle and also to hold the little floaters down. There's the one in the D, and I'm going to put the one in the A and the R as well. And use those little strips to hold those down so they don't slide nowhere. And I let this dry for around an hour and a half. And then I come back and removed all of the clamps and took it over to the bandsaw to trim out the excess wood. And then over here on the belt sander to sand everything flush and get it all nice and smooth. And then I took some sandpaper and sanded the edges nice and give them a sort of a round over area. And then it was time to stain the borders of the edges of the piece and the back. And I'm running out of stain. I was really working with the very bottom of it in this video. And give it another 30 count in my head. Obviously the film sped up. And I let this also dry under a fan for about an hour, and the project was complete. And here we have the completed Friday the 13th wall plaque. I think it turned out real good. Nice look at it. Sanded up nice and everything. All that's left to do is add the clear coat to it, then add a hanger to it, and it'll be ready to be displayed. As you can tell, I'm a huge Friday the 13th fan. I've got on my Jason Voorhees number 13 jersey with his name on the back. Huge fan of Jason. Again, I got the chance to meet Kane Hodder and talk with him a while. But here's another look at it. Really happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. I get to go out and dress up as the pirate to a lot of festivals and Halloween events. And then Halloween is also like the precursor for the rest of the year. You have Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, then you have Christmas, and then you have New Year's, and it's like bam, 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 one after the other, and it is a busy time. It is a fun time to see family and friends. And I can't wait for some of the horror movie marathons that are going to be on TV. I might catch a few this year. But that's about all for this video, guys. Remember, guys, if I can make it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Happy Halloween 2019. And me and Jason will catch you guys later.